This episode may contain content of a graphic nature, including descriptions of physical and sexual violence against adults, children, and animals. Listener discretion is advised. Hi everyone, I'm Talia.
And I'm Tanya.
And together we are Crimes and Consequences, a true crime podcast. Hi everybody, welcome to another exciting edition of Crimes and Consequences, and we are so happy to be part of the True Crime Daily YouTube channel family. I'm Talia.
And I'm Tanya.
And together we are two lawyers that like true crime. We swear, so if you don't like it, you're going to be offended. She laughs. Inappropriately, but it doesn't mean that this is funny.
No, I do when I'm nervous or uncomfortable, which
Just
is
frequently.
usually throughout the episode because it's always a horrible, horrendous story.
Before we get started, I'd like to ask you guys to hit the like, subscribe button, tell your friends, tell your families. And with that being said, I'm ready to go.
Me too.
You ready?
Yes.
Let's rock this out. So have you heard of the Anne Bowman case?
No.
I'm going to give you some background on Anne Bowman. She was beautiful. She was a model. She was born on September 11th of 1987 in South London. Her parents were Paul and Linda, and she was the youngest of four daughters. She ended up being a model. She also sang really beautifully, and she went to the Brit School of Performing Arts and Technology in Croydon. That's a huge accomplishment. There are a lot of well-known people that went to Croydon. For example, Adele.
Oh.
And Amy Winehouse. So there's
lots of talent at that school.
That's a big deal to get in there. And as I said, she was beautiful, and she did modeling. And she was also a hairdresser part-time. In January of 2005, so this is kind of around the time the story takes place, she got a contract with Pulse Modeling Agency. It's a local modeling agency. And she ended up being the face of Swatch watches.
Oh, I had a Swatch.
6 o'clock on my Swatch watch. Yeah. And she participated in the Swatch Alternative Fashion Week in April of 2005. She described her experience by saying, I was so nervous all week participating, particularly when all the models were lined up and designers got to choose what models they wanted.
Yeah, that's a lot of pressure.
Right, to model their clothes. And luckily she got, quote, I got picked by loads of designers, which gave me a lot of confidence. But sadly, her future came to an end on September 25th, 2005. And the story is so strange. Like, we're going to back up a day before. It's September 24th, 2005. Oh, I got to put on my glasses. That's why I can't read anything. Anne was enjoying a Saturday off. She'd done some work, and then she was at her parents' house. And her older sister, Nicole, called and said, basically, do you want to go out? Let's go out with a group of friends. Of course, Sally, like, yeah, I'll go out. She gets ready, and she gets picked up by Nicole about 6:05 p.m. As she's headed out the door, her mother remembers her saying goodbye and I love you. Her mom said, I love you, to which Sally responded, I love you too, Mom. And that would be the last time her mom ever heard any words from Sally Ann. Her sister and they all met up at this bar called Loy's Bar in Croydon, England. And there's CCTV footage that shows her having a really great time. Things are going well.
It's a night out with the girls.
Yeah.
Just having some fun.
So Sally Ann had a boyfriend, and his name was Louis Sproston. And they'd been on again, off again for about 2 years. They were breaking up, getting back together, then they're breaking up, getting back together. There was a lot of jealousy, a lot of fighting, and like I said, frequent breakups. They were at a point in their relationship where they broke up. Sally needed her space.
We're on a break.
They're taking a break from each other.
A break.
Lewis had been out that same night at Kingston upon Tame.
No, Thames, right? Thames. Is it
Thame? Whatever. He was out.
Thames.
He was out.
Thames.
He was out. Okay. He was about 12 miles away from where Sally Ann was. Throughout the night, Sally Ann she was convinced that he was partying with other girls because they're texting back and forth, talking back and forth. And he was convinced that she was flirting with other guys. They didn't have a lot of trust in their relationship.
Apparently.
And they, like I said, they were sending text messages and phone calls between each other, as teens do.
Right.
All night.
Right.
Little thumbs moving.
Mm-hmm.
As the night went on, like Sally Ann and her friends and her sister, they're dancing, they're having a good time. But it's about 1 a.m. when Sally Ann gets into a taxi. And she gets dropped off at a friend's house. She then calls Lewis. And it's believed she made up a story that Nicole had been arrested for fighting. Whether or not that's something that actually happened, I don't know. I just know that that's what she told Lewis. And she asked him if he would come and meet up with her. So he picks her up. And it's a little confusing because some say he picks her up. Some say she took a taxi and met him someplace where he picked her up. And I know that she didn't go straight home. According to Lewis, and he said, quote, "It was a little bit out of order to want me to leave my friends and pick her up, but she said she was stranded and I didn't want to leave her on her own." So Lewis picks up Sally, and now it's about 2:20 a.m. and he takes her to her house, her parents' house. Once they get there, they park the car and they start arguing. There's fighting again. They're right in front of Sally's mom's car. Bickering,
Bickering.
Somebody's
something
blaming
wrong.
somebody. You're cheating on me, but they're not together. But yet you're cheating on me. No, we're not together.
Right. I know they're on a break,
but still. So they're fighting for a while, and then they start hugging and kissing.
Very passionate when you're 18, right?
Oh, yeah.
Your emotions are very, very on the spectrum of highs and lows, right?
Yeah, and now I'm just like, all right, whatever. I'm going to go watch Netflix. When you get over it, let me know.
Yeah, really.
Let me know. So it's during one of their arguments, though, that Lewis believes he sees a man looking into their car. They continue to argue, hug, kiss, argue, and Lewis starts losing his patience. He leaned across the passenger side door and kind of said, "Get out."
Oh.
Get out. I mean, she's in front of her house.
Right.
Okay.
Like, okay, it's time. You need to go inside the house.
Now,
yeah.
girl. I mean, it's time. According to Lewis, they both actually got out of the passenger side door. And when he tried to get back in the car, then a real fight came. Sally Ann grabbed him by the shirt and ripped a chain from his neck.
Oh, got physical.
Mm-hmm. After a couple of minutes, he ends up getting back in the car and he locks the doors so Sally can't get in. He drove away and she was begging him to stay as he left. And this is now between 4:10 and 4:20. Late night.
Right.
And back in the day. Okay, but now, no. I gotta work.
Yeah.
I got things to do. I gotta sleep.
I gotta sleep.
Lewis remembers watching through his rear view mirror and seeing Sally Ann pick up her handbag that she'd put at her purse that she put on the ground. And she stood and watched him drive away for a couple seconds. And then he could see that she started walking towards her front door. And there's a little bit of a garden area in between. You know, he should have stayed to make sure she went there
Got in the
safe.
house. I always make sure my friends get in the house when I drop them off.
But, I mean, she was close.
Yeah.
What's going to happen?
Right. You think she's in probably the yard, right? You said there's a little garden area.
She's
Yeah.
in the yard. She's about
I think
30,
she's like
30
safe.
feet from the door.
Mm-hmm. She's home free.
Well, let me tell you something happens.
Of course.
It's around 4:20 a.m. when Sally Ann's screams could be heard by neighbors, multiple neighbors. But nobody went and did anything.
We have done so many stories where that
So
happens.
many.
We always think someone else is going to call.
Right.
Right.
Or you wait a second, you don't hear any screams.
Yeah, you're like,
and
maybe,
all right.
maybe I didn't hear that right, or
Yeah,
maybe
this
it's nothing.
Crazy
or,
neighbors are at it again.
Right.
So nobody did anything. However, one neighbor did say that she looked outside the window. Her bedroom light was still off, but she didn't see anything. So she's like, whatever. She had no idea that Sally Ann, in that very small time frame, had been brutally murdered.
Oh, my goodness.
Right? 30 feet, Tanya.
Wow.
30 fucking feet
That's unbelievable.
in front of her house. She'd been stabbed 7 times.
God.
And then the killer left, waited in the bushes, probably wondering if anybody was going to come out to, like, because of those screams.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the coast was clear, he came back out of hiding and he violently raped
No.
her lifeless body.
No.
Yes, he did.
Oh, no.
What the fuck?
Hmm.
That's in her front yard. I would like to stress, in her front yard.
Is she in a busy a neighborhood where
It's
there's
not
lots
out in
of
the country.
places?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you got neighbors all over. It's her front yard.
That's really bold.
It's crazy.
It's not only a disgusting crime, but it's extremely bold because there's other houses, like anybody could be driving by
yeah.
at any minute.
And the boyfriend just left.
Yeah.
What if the boyfriend decided to come back? I mean,
Right.
I'm saying maybe if it wasn't the boyfriend, what if he
Right.
decided to come back?
Right.
It's brazen, to
Very
say the
much.
least. So anyway, he didn't just rape her lifeless body. He also bit her all over.
What the hell?
fuck? What the hell?
I don't get
Including
people.
her breasts.
I just don't get it.
5 minutes later, the neighbor returned to the window and she saw a man walking down the street. But there weren't any more noises. So she's like, okay, I'm going to go to bed. It was about 6:30 in the morning when that neighbor woke up. And it was the same neighbor that heard the screams and checked twice. She went outside and she found the partially nude body, lifeless body of 18-year-old Sally Ann just laying there. And I have a quote from the neighbor. I put on my dressing gown and slippers and I went across the road. So she was across the street. I walked around the left side of the skip. I don't know what the skip is. Herb. I don't know. I just felt I knew what I would see.
Really? She had an intuition about it.
I knelt. This is so sad. I knelt just as a natural thing and said, "Oh, you poor darling."
She probably felt horrible. Especially knowing that you heard a scream and, oh. I can't even imagine coming upon a scene like that either.
There's blood.
Yeah, everywhere.
Everywhere. Sally Ann had beautiful long blonde hair and it was brown. So, of course, the police get called. They arrive quickly to the scene. And it was a massive investigation. A massive investigation. I mean, this is a nice neighborhood. They performed an autopsy, and the findings were shocking to the police. What they found and were able to piece together was that on the night of the murder, Sally Ann was a mere 30 feet from her front door. She was standing in her driveway when she was caught by surprise in this violent attack. She was stabbed at least 7 times in both her neck, her stomach, and her back. And 3 of them were delivered with such force that they passed clean through her body.
Whoa, that's deep.
Yeah,
wow.
bite marks were found on her neck, her breasts, and her cheek. And then that's when they discovered, too, that she'd been raped post-mortem. So we got a necrophiliac here. Are you surprised?
Not with the stories we do.
No.
Unfortunately, no. And
No.
you think it's something that never happens.
No,
like
it
it's
happens.
just, maybe there's like one person in the world that's done it.
No,
No,
not in our stories.
No, unfortunately, no.
I don't know.
It's just, I just don't understand. It's just the sickest.
It's so
Gosh.
fucking gross.
Yeah, extremely.
So she was either dying or dead, close to death, but they believe she was probably dead.
Just so disrespectful.
Then the killer took her phone, her cardigan sweater, her underwear, and her purse.
So none of those were found at the scene.
Yep, they're all gone. The family gets notified of Sally Ann's murder. Her mother and sister Nicole, had to go identify her body. Worst thing ever.
I've never been in that situation.
Never
and I
want to be. Nope,
never be.
never going to be.
Mhm.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Oh, it's so sad. I want to say. Her mother said, and this is a quote, "I remember going into the room, and for a split second, I thought it wasn't her because her hair was dark from the blood.
Yeah, they hadn't.
And I just moved forward, and I saw her little button nose and her freckles, and that was it."
Oh.
And Nicole started crying, saying, quote, "Please wake her up, Mom. Please wake her up." Man.
No.
What?
Very, very awful. How
You're
heartbreaking.
so funny.
I know.
How very, very awful.
How heartbreaking. I mean,
That's too much. Too much for me. Too much. It's too
it's so
sad.
hard to put into words. Like, I'm sure they were shocked. And,
Yeah.
like you said, the mom didn't even recognize her initially. And,
God.
whew.
Okay. So, I mean, this obviously shocked the community. Because if you aren't safe right in front of, like, on your driveway.
That's what I was just thinking. I'm
in a public, neighbors
I'm
all
thinking
around.
of my driveway, standing in my driveway and have somebody come out and just attack me and murder me. And I mean,
Screaming,
Yeah.
raped, and coming back. Like, okay, anyway, we're moving on. This was an urgent thing in the community. We have to figure out who did this. There is no real witnesses or security cameras, despite it was a very populated area. And it wasn't going to be easy to find this killer, but there was one thing left behind. DNA.
oh, yes.
So police submit the DNA into whatever database they have. And they find out quickly that their first suspect, so you know who their first suspect would be.
Oh, yeah, her boyfriend.
Lewis,
Mhm.
yes. He wasn't linked to it. They had actually found and arrested Lewis that day while he was on his way to McDonald's with some friends.
Imagine that's the way you find out that your girlfriend/ex-girlfriend is murdered, is you get arrested for her murder.
On your way to
You're like,
McDonald's.
what? On your way to McDonald's. Like, you're just having a morning, getting some breakfast, and I would just be like, holy shit. Like, what the hell happened?
When he got arrested, he said to the police, quote, "Is this about the fight with my girlfriend last night?"
Oh, no, Lewis, that's the wrong thing to say. Oh, no. They're like, maybe. I don't know.
Why
You
don't
tell me.
us?
Yes.
Well, he was the last person to see Sally Ann alive. And, they had phone recordings showing them that he threatened to spit in her face if she'd been with another man.
Oh, no.
And that was on the day of the murder.
Ooh, things aren't looking good for Lewis.
And yeah, they were pretty sure, okay, he did it.
Mm-hmm.
Because they had all those arguments, and he explained that they were just having jealous fights, and he was held and questioned for 4 days.
Wow.
Along with 2 of his friends and his brother. And then he gave that sample of DNA. And then it was when the results came back that they're like, okay, you can go home now.
Yeah.
Oh.
Man, he was probably sweating bullets, especially knowing he didn't do it, right?
Yeah.
Like,
oh, Lord, have mercy.
and he's probably like an 18-year-old kid
I'm
too,
sure.
right? Mm-hmm. Like, it's got to be terrifying.
But there was a match to the DNA.
Oh, there was.
There was. But it was a match to another rape, not a person.
Damn.
It was a sexual assault cold case that took place about 1.5 miles away from where Sally Ann was brutally murdered. And this happened in 2001, so it's 4 years difference.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, Lewis was cleared of the charges. But before I tell you more, we're going to take a quick break. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the sexual assault case.
Okay.
It's a cold case. Took place in 2001 when a woman was using a telephone booth. So that was back when they had
Telephone booths.
telephone booths.
I know. Good luck finding one now.
Right, you can't.
You can't.
She was near a parking lot of a Tesco store.
I think
I'm
it's a
guessing
grocery store, I think.
Is it a grocery store?
I think
Gas
it's something
station?
like a grocery store.
When a man approached her, he exposed himself
Oh, lovely. Lovely. Yeah.
and trapped her in the booth and began masturbating
Oh, Leah. Okay.
until he left his, we'll say it this way, he left his DNA.
Okay.
It was all over the floor of
Okay,
the
you set
phone
it up.
booth.
Thank you.
I know. He then casually walked away, leaving the woman shaken, and she's terrified. And of course, she calls the police, but no one was ever caught or arrested for this. So now they have 2 different cases, same DNA, and police are worried about how many other potential people. I mean, there's a 4-year gap.
Right.
What's he doing in that 4 years?
Yep. I had that thought.
Nothing.
Yep.
Nothing.
Sure, he didn't
good.
do anything.
Nothing good.
No, he's up to no good.
It's up to no good. It wasn't until a few days later that the police uncovered yet another frightening incident that happened only an hour before Sally Ann's murder.
Really?
And it wasn't far from where she was at. It was not far from her street. Sally Ann, like a couple blocks from where she lived, there was this woman, and she was walking down the road, and a man comes up to her and says, "I'm sorry." And then he attacks her. He starts beating her. Thank goodness the attacker was startled because a taxi cab was approaching, so he ran off. And he ran off with a woman's phone, which was still connected to whoever the woman was talking to. So say, I mean, she's on the line, I don't know, maybe with her boyfriend.
Right.
He's got that. He's walking away, running away with that phone. And the other person could hear the whole incident of what was going on, and that he could hear the screams of this woman and tell they were getting quieter and quieter. And the taxi cab driver stopped, pulled over to check on the woman, and then she ended up getting in the taxi, driving to the police station, and gave a description of the man, and a sketch was made. Now the police have this murder of Sally Ann Bowman, no suspect, a cold case rape, and a recent assault like an hour before Sally Ann. They know the 2 are connected with the DNA. And obviously, I mean, the woman assaulted was, by Sally Ann.
Yeah.
Come on, coincidence?
I know. There's 2
think
psychos
not.
out within
not.
a mile of each other.
Not blocks.
Blocks. Yeah. Blocks.
So 4 months.
Oh.
Police investigated and worked really hard to find out who did this to Sally Ann. Who had the balls to kill her in her driveway. They decided to launch a large DNA screening to help narrow down the search because there were about 4,000 men that fit the description.
They can do a DNA screening?
This is England.
I know it's in England, but...
I think it was volunteer.
Okay.
Come on
Really?
in.
The killer's going to volunteer?
Well, we've heard stupider things.
That's true.
There have been killers that volunteer.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I guess. But
I remember a couple.
yeah, that's so stupid.
So, guys.
Just, don't think you're smarter than the police.
You're not smarter than the police. No.
And especially DNA.
Yeah. So, between the phone booth and the lady talking on the phone, they determined that the killer lived in the local area. And so they wanted to screen the entire area by hosting
A DNA screening
We're gonna
party.
have a DNA screening party.
Oh my gosh.
Hosting a DNA screening center, encouraging men, come on in. Come on in. Give
I
us
can't
your
imagine
samples.
one person going.
Oh,
I know, I'm sure.
771
I can't imagine one person wanting to
wins.
go.
Oh, why not? Why not? You got to help. Civil duty.
Yeah, but
Why wouldn't
if
you
you
not?
didn't do it, why would you give the police your DNA?
To show I didn't do it. Hello?
But I'm sorry. I'm just floored. I would never.
You wouldn't do it, but I would volunteer.
the government having my
I tell
DNA.
everybody, hey, in case you thought I'd lost my mind for a little while, I didn't do it.
I don't know. I'm just big suspicious. I don't want the government having my DNA at all.
Okay, well, let me tell you, they're not cloning little
I know.
Tanyas
No,
out
they're
there.
not. But honestly,
Okay.
okay.
Well,
771 people did.
Yeah,
Okay.
and they were all eliminated. Trail runs cold. 6 months after the murder investigation, it's stalling. They decide to change their strategy and they go back to the sketch photos from the woman who was attacked less than an hour before by Sally Ann's home. And on top of this sketch, they decided to release a second sketch. They went back to the woman that was raped in 2001
Okay.
and asked her if she would make a sketch. So they had those. Her sketch, is 4 years later, but I'm sure
she has nightmares about
I'm sure
it.
his face is
burned into her
etched.
memory.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
And then they decided to hold a press conference where they not only released the two sketches, but also more details on what this man was actually capable of and how dangerous he was. They were thinking that this would bring in new leads, but it didn't.
Oh.
But I'm going to tell you about somebody you're going to hate.
Okay.
And it's early in the morning, and we don't like to hate so early. That's
No.
usually after a long day.
True. But some people deserve it, especially
do.
like whoever you're going to tell me about.
But usually it's later in the day when we
Yeah,
get
I know,
really
that's
I
Get all
hate that.
fired up about
Fired
it.
up.
I know, it's early.
It's way early. We're doing this in the morning. So you
Yeah.
got to wake up, Tanya. You didn't get
I
your
know.
coffee, did you?
Ooh, no, I didn't. Ooh, okay. I'm ready.
So his name is Mark Dixie. In 2003, he was dating a woman named Stacy Navette. And together they had a baby boy, and it was Mark's third child. To no one's surprise that knew Mark, this relationship was strained. And Stacy stated that he had a habitual drug problem. I know he did cocaine, probably smoked some weed, some doobies,
Right.
something. And he was very moody and aggressive, and he would get really upset over the smallest things that he could explode. So what is it? Impulsive, explosive
Personality disorder?
Yes. We've had clients.
Yes.
What is that?
Or not clients, they're exes.
Yes.
Yes, with explosive personality disorder.
Opposing parties.
Yes, opposing parties.
Yes. So the smallest thing would make him explode. She said that while he was high, he would bite her on the neck, and he liked to have rough sex. Stacy left Mark Dixie September 1st of 2005. So now that brings us to September 24th of 2005. That's when Sally Ann was murdered. Mark Dixie was out celebrating his birthday with some friends at a bar, only 7 minutes away from where Sally Ann lived. So she must live not far from town. If
Right, that's what I'm thinking, yeah.
the bar is only 7 minutes away. Mark had wanted to patch things up with Stacy, and he'd called and said, hey girl, you want to come?
Can I come by?
Hey, you want to come join me at the bar?
Sure.
But she's like, fuck you.
Yeah, no, I'm done.
I'm sorry. I'm busy brushing my hair.
Yeah.
She refused.
I'm busy doing absolutely anything.
Anything but seeing you. According to his friends, Mark was usually the life and the soul of the party.
Really?
But this incident with Stacy made him furious.
Oh boy.
And he was set out to just drink, just pound those drinks in.
That's not good.
And do a lot of cocaine.
Oh no. Having a stimulant and a depressant.
Yes, he was. You're so cute. A stimulant and a depressant. He was getting fucked up, Tanya.
Yeah, big time.
Big time. And he started having mood swings. When the bar closed down, he went to stay with 2 female friends, which brought him within 4 minutes of Sally Ann's home. The women went to bed, but police say Mark, he didn't go to sleep. He left the property sometime between 2:30 and 3:30 a.m. Because he's all fired up on coke. He's like,
right. Yeah, he probably can't sleep.
That's my interpretation of being fired up on coke. They also believe he took a knife with him.
Oh.
Intending on finding a woman to attack. They believe Mark was the one that attacked the woman standing on the side of the road that was talking on the phone. But because that taxi cab came, he couldn't finish. So he runs away from that attack. And that's when they think he saw Sally Ann. And she just happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. Police theorized that he killed Sally Ann. He hung around in the bushes, see if anybody I told you would come out because of the screaming. And when no one did, he returned to the body, and that's when he raped her. Then he returned to the home of his 2 friends and fell asleep on the couch. Like nothing
happened. He had to have had blood all over him. Had to have. He stabbed her.
He had to have. I'm sure he cleaned up somewhere in between. So it took 9 months, which brings us to June 10th of 2006, for him to be arrested. He was working as a chef at the Ye Olde Bells in Horley, Surrey. Living life normal. But on this particular night, Mark was at another bar. He was watching the World Cup match between England and Trinidad and Tobago, where he had been drinking a lot. So he began arguing with this other man inside the bar, probably about the game. I don't know. And the fight ended up going outside and in the street where Mark shoved this guy to the ground. And there's actual CCTV footage of the interaction. Luckily, the police were nearby because, World Cup, they got police everywhere on the streets. And they were able to break up the fight. Mark got arrested. When he was brought in for questioning, he was described as extremely emotional and crying, which seemed really odd to them. It's like, dude, you just got into a fight at the World Cup. Why are you crying like a baby?
Yeah, it doesn't.
Right now, tough guy.
Doesn't mesh with having a fight or starting a fight.
It's just a minor offense that he's being charged with. But while he's at the police station, they fingerprint him and they get his DNA. Then he was released on bail. 12 days later, the police got a call from the forensic lab. Guess what? Mark,
it's a match.
He was a near perfect match for the semen found on Bowman's body. And it also matched the telephone booth.
Oh, yes.
Ugh.
That attack.
That gross stuff. When they went to go get him and arrest him, they found out he was no longer in the country.
Oh.
He fled to Amsterdam. He knew.
Oh, he had to have known. He's not stupid. I mean, a little bit stupid, but...
However, he only remained there for 3 months because he had gotten into an argument with his landlord and decided to come back to England.
Why?
Why?
Yeah, why
would you do that? What's wrong with you?
Good thing he did, though.
Yeah.
Good.
Once he was back in the United Kingdom, he went back to his old job.
Why not? I'm just going to go right back into my routine, right?
They've forgotten about everything I did. And he happened to live at like where he worked had apartments, so he had the same address, or it was the same address that he'd given for the bar fight. So police went to the bar one day and they looked around and they saw Mark Dixie, and he's just walking out.
Yeah, like without a care in the world.
No, what's going on? And nothing's happening. Oh, he gets arrested. The following day, he was charged with Sally Anne Bowman's murder. After he was arrested in the UK, police contacted the Australian authorities and sent them his DNA because he had lived in Australia for 6 years. And Australia tested it to see if it came back to a match to any crimes they had there. And guess what?
It did.
It did.
Oh, what an asshole.
It came back to a match of an attack on a Thai student in Perth. I mean, this Thai student ended up testifying against Mark at Sally Ann's, at the trial for Sally Ann. He had stabbed her multiple times and raped her in Australia in 1998 while he was burglarizing her house.
Is an MO.
Yeah. He has yet to be formally charged with the attack, but his DNA matched the sample on the woman's underwear. During the trial, Mark clung to the only defense he had. And are you ready for this?
Oh, I can't wait to hear.
He was walking around and he stumbled upon an unconscious drunk girl
Just by chance.
and saw an opportunity to have sex with her.
Really?
Because that's not bad.
No.
That's just, you know,
because that's his defense.
That's his defense.
Okay.
He claimed he didn't kill her.
No.
No.
Some other guy did it.
Yes.
They came right after I did.
And the other guy's still out there.
Yeah.
So he didn't do it. He didn't take her life.
Sure.
And they needed to catch who did it.
Yeah. He's very
He's out.
concerned. He doesn't want this murder pinned on him.
Yeah. Well, the jury, which was made up of, I believe, 7 women and 5 men, came back with a unanimous guilty verdict and a mandatory life sentence with a minimum of 34 years. So he wouldn't be eligible for parole till he's 70. He began his sentence at HMP Belmarsh Prison. It's a Category A prison. Do you know what that means?
I'm thinking it's high security, right?
I'm guessing. I would hope
Yeah,
so.
probably the highest level of security.
Yes. I mean, Category A prisoners are the largest, most threatening people out, you know, for the public. And he, let me see. It basically, that type of prison he was in was designed to make it so no one could escape.
Okay.
It's also known as one of the most dangerous prisons. So he didn't go to like a Canadian prison or
I imagine,
a Swedish prison.
Yeah, I imagine it's got the most violent offenders there.
Yes. While he was there, he was threatened by lots of people.
Oh, good. I'm sorry. You know how I feel.
Tanya, no.
You know how I feel.
It's not all good.
Yes, it is, as far as I'm concerned.
He got moved into a new prison for his own protection, and he was living in fear of being beaten or stabbed.
Oh, poor Mark.
Yes. Eventually, Mark confessed to the police about other things he'd done.
Oh,
he
no
actually
kidding.
confessed about killing Sally Ann. He wrote to the police indicating he wanted to tell them the truth of what really happened to Sally Ann. Because of the trial, he said he didn't do it, but
Yeah, but now he's ready.
yes. He broke down in prison and admitted to also brutally raping a woman in Spain while he was drunk and on cocaine and enraged. She was at a seaside resort in, I cannot pronounce this, Fuengirola.
Okay.
Fuengirola? Yeah?
I don't know. You're looking at me like I speak Spanish.
I don't know.
I don't, unfortunately.
It was August of 2003. And this is really, really fucked up. Tragically, another man had spent 12 years in prison for being wrongfully convicted for this crime.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate those stories.
It was in 2003, this Dutchman named Romano van der Dussen. He was wrongfully committed and jailed for the rape of 3 women in Costa del Sol, Spain. He spent 12 years in prison where he was beaten, spit on, treated like a cockroach. These are words he said. And despite there being no DNA evidence linking him to the crimes, he served 12 years. Shortly after being sent to prison, he was beaten so brutally, Tanya, he had to spend 3 weeks in the prison hospital.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, that was bad.
And they couldn't guarantee his safety when he got out of the hospital, so he spent 18 months in solitary confinement.
18 months? Oh, that's...
And he didn't do anything wrong.
Oh, man.
Yeah. He ended up spending his, the last few years of his time in prison specifically for pedophiles and rapists.
Oh.
He was acquitted and set free in 2016 after Mark admitted to raping one of these women. So now we're going to fast forward to 2017. Mark Dixie admits to raping another woman after ambushing her in 1987 when he was only 16 years old. And then he battered another victim with a knife sharpener.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. Threatening to kill her and rape her in 2002. He was given 2 more life sentences for further attacks. Appearing via video link at Southwark Crown Court in London on Wednesday. I think it's 2017. Dixie, he's 46 now, admitted raping a woman in 1987 after ambushing her in an isolated car park. A previous hearing, when he was at a previous hearing, he admitted that he tied her up.
At 16 years old, he's doing this.
Yeah, he's around 16. And he tied her to the car, and then he set the car on fire, but she managed to escape.
He's got a lifetime of violent crimes.
Yeah, and so who knows what he's really done. There are unsolved murders that they believe
are attributed to him.
Uh-huh. And if you're so brazen, you can go in a driveway and not only kill, but wait and come back and then rape.
Yeah.
You can do anything.
Mm.
So Sally Ann's mother, her name was Linda Bowman, is now a vocal advocate for a DNA database for everyone in Britain to help police catch other serious offenders. And she believes that, had there been more of a DNA database out there, this would have helped solve the crime much earlier.
Probably. I mean, I don't know. Hindsight is 2020. Mm-hmm.
So we don't really know all of what Mark Dixie did, but we know he's fucked up.
Yeah.
We know he's.
I mean, he just told them
87.
Yeah, I mean, the things he admitted are what he's willing to admit. I mean, God only knows, like you said.
Between 87 and 2005.
Oh, there had to be more. There had to be. You just don't stop doing that.
And, he was in Amsterdam, too. Mm-hmm. And there are some unsolved crimes in Australia and in England that he might have something to do with. Because he's an asshole.
Yeah, what a sick fuck.
He's a sick, gross. So I want to give a shout out to our writer, my friend. I tweaked it, and I gave her the story because it was really fascinating. It was one of those stories I wanted to do for a long time. I remember when it came out and they didn't know who did it. And it was just shocking because it's just so, to me, just so brazen. So a shout out to Marissa Lovegrove.
Thanks, Marissa.
Thank you. And we want to thank each and every one of you guys for taking the time to listen to us on whatever you're listening to us on watching us on True Crime Daily YouTube channel.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. And you want to go ahead with the... Sure.
If you want to hear more episodes and you just can't get enough of us.
Can't get enough.
No, we have a Patreon. And it is tntcrimes.com/Patreon. And we release one episode.
It's Patreon.
Yeah. We would, what?
Patreon.com/.
Oh, patreon.com. I'm sorry.
That's TNT Crimes. Great way to advertise for us.
And we release one episode a week that is not released to the public. And it is on our Patreon. And it is right now just audio. And then we have our weekly episode that's released here on YouTube and also on every podcast app. Pretty much.
You can get the audio.
Yeah.
Apple.
Absolutely. Apple.
Wherever.
And you can subscribe on Apple as well to our Patreon episodes, but it's through Apple. They're the same episodes. You can go to our website, crimesandconsequences.com, to just check out more. You can listen to episodes there. And we
have some unreleased ones there that they can.
We also have merch. If you're so inclined.
Merchandise.
You get a t-shirt if you want. We have all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
So check that out. And we're on social media.
Yeah, but we haven't done that in a while.
Yeah, I know.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. One day we will.
One day.
But that's about everything. Thank you.
And next week we're going to do our infamous review, the reviewer.
Yeah. So check it
For
out.
all the haters out there, it's our turn to let you know how we feel about you.
So don't miss it next week.
Unless you're one of the haters, because you're not going to like what we have to say.
You might want to, too. If they're one of the haters, I don't think they've made it this far.
Right. It just won't be something they want to hear.
Exactly. So until our next episode.
Don't kill each other.
Bye.
Bye.